A natural med isn't just a substance you take. It is a lifestyle that one lives to amplify their health. We don't always choose how long we will be on this planet, but we can take action on the quality of life that we wish to enjoy.
The Natural Med podcast interviews different professionals and experts who look at improving the quality of health so they can live a more fulfilling life. Whether that be physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, or spiritually, we discover the secrets to their own journey and the small steps individuals can take on a daily basis to improve the quality of their life. Come with me as we travel, research, and discover how we can make incremental changes on a daily basis to live a more fulfilled and balanced life. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Natural Med podcast. I'm Nicole, and we have Josh here on the podcast with us. And today we have our special guest, Kelly Moline with Community Pharmacy. She is a pharmacist and then is also over the PharmD Wellness Program at Community Pharmacy. So welcome, Kelly, to the podcast.
Thank you.
And tell us about yourself and how you got started as a pharmacist.
Yeah, so my pharmacist story isn't like super interesting how I became or how I chose. So when I went to college, I was completely undecided, which I feel like a lot of people who go into this profession know exactly what they wanted to do, whether they had family members or whatever. I went to college, didn't really know math and science was an easier direction for me, so I found pharmacy. But then when I kind of got into that program, we had to interview someone in that field. So I interviewed a pharmacist from my hometown because they were in the town that I was going to college in. And he started explaining all of the different routes he has been just in his career in pharmacy, whether that was compounding, independent pharmacy, retail, hospital. He actually worked for like the court system for a while. So he just explained his journey, and he was in his 40s, and I thought that was so cool that with one degree you could do so many different things. And so I went to pharmacy school, decided to pursue a residency afterwards to get additional training. So I found an independent pharmacy here in Texas. I went to school in Fargo, North Dakota.
Oh,
so
wow.
I came
Pretty
all the
far.
way down to pursue a residency because I really liked that independent field. I worked in an independent pharmacy in pre-pharmacy and then in pharmacy school. I've also worked in the retail, like CVS, Walgreens area, and I really liked that independent a little bit more. So I pursued an independent pharmacy residency that also had ambulatory care, so working with chronic diseases, one-on-one with patients, and then also had a teaching component as well. So after residency, I got hired at that independent, known as Community Pharmacy, and that's where I've implemented our weight loss program and the wellness program as well.
That's awesome. So what kind of drew you to more of the wellness side of pharmaceuticals?
So throughout pharmacy school, I got really into working out, nutrition, but that has always been like a side interest of mine.
Yeah.
And because throughout pharmacy school, they don't really correlate. I mean, you're trying to make people feel better, but you're learning more about medications, disease states, those kind of things, and exercise and making meal plans. Those kind of things don't really correlate, at least with pharmacy school. I came to my residency and they're like, we're really excited. We're actually starting this new weight loss program, and that's going to be part of your residency to kind of get an additional one-on-one patient perspective. And I thought, like, this, it's all meant to be. I'm so glad I'm here. They haven't had any patients yet, but they're excited about it. And I kind of hit the ground running with that. and then saw some gaps in my patients, especially the menopausal or perimenopausal women. And so I looked more into what kind of lab testing we can do and what else we can do rather than just focusing on that diet perspective.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So is that a big part of the PharmD Wellness Program, is like lab testing and stuff? Can you tell us a little bit about why the lab testing is so important?
Yeah, so we also carry a lot of pharmaceutical grade supplements at the pharmacy, but most people come in, they're asking what to take, what sounds best. They've done a little research themselves. They're not exactly sure where those gaps are. And we have training in those supplements, but I found out that we can order labs as a provider in Texas. We have NPIs as pharmacists, so we can order some labs, and some can be really comprehensive. So I've been doing more research by myself and really getting into why guess when you can test. So if we can get comprehensive tests and really know where those gaps are, then we can get a really good supplement program and know that it's going to help and monitor those symptoms as well. But so many people get lost to follow-up. They weren't exactly sure how to take it. Do I take this and what I was taking? Does this interact with my medication? All of those different things. So I just kind of try to create that comprehensive program where we do lab testing. I analyze their personal routines, their lifestyle, their diet, and then we can get that supplement protocol really personalized to them.
Wow.
That's cool. So how does that work with maybe if they're seeing a primary care physician and maybe also a cardiologist for another thing? So how does that, how do you work with those other physicians or the other healthcare providers?
Yeah. So I try my best to work as a team. Now, if the doctor reaches out to me, that's great. If I can get on the phone with them with labs that we've ordered and let them know what I'm finding, whether that be thyroid, whether that be hormone, GI, anything like that. There are a lot of doctors that aren't as familiar with the comprehensiveness of these labs, so I can try to explain that to them. A lot of patients are frustrated with the healthcare system because they can only see their doctor once a year, maybe twice. And if they do see their doctor, a lot of the time they're only allowed a few minutes with them. Yeah. They come in, see the nurse, maybe they see the NP most of the time, maybe they see their doctor, but their insurance company is kind of regulating what their doctor really focuses on, whether that be your blood sugar, your cholesterol, your blood pressure, and they don't have time to talk about your sleep patterns, that you feel tired during the day. So that a lot of the time gets prescribed really quickly of sleep medications, maybe you need other things like stimulants, and we don't get to the root of the problem. We're just going to prescribe more. And that's not really on the doctor's fault per se. It's just more our health system, and they need to see so many patients within that hour to get reimbursed for their clinic.
Yeah. It's crazy how much the health insurance companies dictate that and push that. It's very sad. I have a friend who's a nurse practitioner, and her system is more membership-based instead of health insurance-based, but she kind of did that initially because she doesn't want to feel pressured to have limited amount of time with her patients and everything. So
exactly,
it's just, that's hard. Speaking of health insurance companies, do you guys work with health insurance companies with customers?
On the wellness side, we do not. It is all cash based. Okay. Again, likely like her, instead of the insurance company regulating how we practice and how much time we can spend with each patient, we'd rather be answering to the patient and being able to spend more time, whether that be an hour or even more, with that individual patient.
Yeah, and that's really putting it into perspective. If your customers and your patients can see that spending time on their health is so important, because then that prevents further complications down the road and everything. And I'm sure you of course see that and everything. Yeah. So I'm sure it's hard for some people to see, well, this isn't covered by my insurance. Is it really worth it? Mm-hmm. But I'm sure you see that a lot, that it is whenever you take care of your health and focus on ways to prevent things and help with that. What's something you typically see with your customers and patients coming in?
So I would say a lot of patients are frustrated. I would see a lot of women, so they are frustrated with their hormones, especially perimenopause or around that menopausal age. Maybe they have been in menopause for a while, and they can't sleep, or they feel really tired in the day. Maybe they have anxiety or depression. They feel really, they say hormonal, but they really mean emotional, and that can really play because of their hormones, reduction in progesterone or different things like that. And they're frustrated a little bit because one patient expressed to me, like, I think if I go to the doctor, they're just going to prescribe me an antidepressant. And she said, too, if I need that, I need that. But right now, I'd rather look into what else I can do and go that more natural route than just get prescribed that. I agreed with her, you may be feeling like this, and that's very valid, but it's not because you're deficient in Prozac or something like that.
Yeah. So there's not a deficiency in Prozac?
Yeah, so we can actually get to the root of the problem so that you can feel better lifelong and not having to depend on something like that could cause additional side effects down the line.
Yeah. And that's the downfall of pharmaceuticals. Like, they're very much needed. I know that as a nurse, like, I've seen pharmaceuticals save lives on people who are dying or need it, but there's definitely, different things you can do and everything. Yeah. So,
where are you from originally? Because you said you went to school in Fargo, but where are you from originally?
So, born in Texas, I moved up to Minnesota when I was 7 with my family, and so very rural Minnesota, and then went to Fargo for pharmacy school.
Hearing that northern accent.
Yeah.
And she keeps saying the root of the problem, and I'm like, oh, root of the
root.
And I'm like, is that a Fargo thing, or is that a Texas thing? Because my sister-in-law says that same thing too. So
where is she from?
She's from Denton. She's from here.
Who, Bethany?
Yeah,
that's funny. Josh picks up on the little thing.
Sorry to derail the conversation.
That's funny. I love up north. Now, I have a lot of family from South Dakota and Nebraska and everything, so it's good. A lot less heat up there, sure.
That's Midwest. That's not north.
I guess. South Dakota is northern, kind of. Yeah. So anyways, back to the question.
So the wellness consultations, like, is this a membership thing? Is this like a monthly thing? Is there a certain number of consultations they get?
Great question. So we've kind of been going back and forth. It is fairly new to us. So right now it is, we have what's called a free discovery call, so you can meet with me for 15 minutes for free. I kind of review that comprehensive questionnaire that I send out to you, so I can see right away what your top complaints are, your current habits, your eating habits, all of those. And then I can kind of walk through what labs I would like to do or how I can help. So if you decide to go forward, you get an hour consultation with me, and that's when I have already created a personalized plan for you that consists of lifestyle, diet, and those supplements. And if I also will recommend a prescription, I can either get in contact with your doctor or recommend a doctor that we're close to that are familiar with bioidentical hormones or different therapy like that. And then in addition to that hour consult, you also get a 30-minute follow-up included in that price, because I don't want my patients being lost to follow-up. I want you to make sure that you're feeling better. I want to assess your symptoms again, make sure that you understand everything too. And then if we need to change protocol, or maybe we can stop some of those treatment plans depending on how they're feeling too.
Okay.
And anything additional, we have additional pricing for more follow-ups, but we've also been playing with the idea of like a membership model so that patients can feel like they can come to me throughout the month and not just save all those questions for those 2 appointments. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that the follow-up's included, though, because, like, I've been in places financially or time wise where it's like, is the follow up really worth it? Like, I'm gonna spend $150 and talk to them for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Is it worth it? And so I love that that's included.
Yeah, I've heard from a lot of patients that have done something similar, and they said that they went in, they were super motivated, they came home with hundreds of dollars worth of supplements and never did it.
Oh, wow.
So
That's
you
hard.
did all of that investing, and just knowing that you have a follow-up, I think, can be really helpful to get you going. And, if you have other questions or we need to adjust, we can do that. And so that you really feel like you've spent that time and the money and it's worth it in the end.
Yeah, and it holds you accountable, too.
Exactly.
So if you know that, like, in a month or a couple months you're going to have to follow up with
Yeah.
you, you're going to be like, oh, I can't let Kelly down.
Yeah.
I got to make sure I took my supplements.
Yeah.
And what do you see? Is it a good mixture of the supplements and eating right and exercising, or do you see, some people need more, one thing or another, or what do you see with that?
Yeah, I generally do both. For my plan, I always put the lifestyle and diet at the top.
Yes.
Because that's going to take over in the long scheme of things. Because it's going to be, I would say, 80% lifestyle and 20% supplements of what it's going to be in the end. Yes, we're going to have a supplement protocol to get you there faster and help with your brain signaling and all of that, especially if we're talking about adrenal or hormones or whatever that is. But I want to eventually take you off of those supplements and maybe keep you on like a multivitamin, omega, and then your lifestyle can take over from there. And if you need to come back, whether stress, life happens, whatever, we can definitely reassess. But that's how I see it going.
Okay. What do you see with customers? What do they usually struggle the most with when trying to change, different aspects of their health and wellness routine? What do they usually struggle with the most that you see?
Consistency.
Yeah.
They get motivated for a little amount of time and they're like, I went gluten-free for this week, or I really got to bed on time for this week. I took my supplements for a week. It's maintaining that and staying consistent with that healthy lifestyle so that you can feel better over time. It's not going to change in a week. Yeah. It definitely takes some time, but you need to stay consistent and know kind of that end goal too.
Yeah, I'm really bad about that. I'll take something. I'm like, oh man, this is helping.
You're like, oh, I feel better.
You just stop taking it.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I feel crappy. Oh, I haven't been taking it.
Yeah.
So it's like human nature. It's like we want to wait till there's a problem instead of like the whole preventative side of it. So I got to get better at that. I'm interested in the adrenal thing though. Y'all test for like adrenal fatigue or
yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
good.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
With our hormone testing also shows the adrenal component. And so I can see the DHEA your body produces, DHEAS, so the sulfated version that your body works with. Can also see your cortisol rhythms. So are you flatlined and really dead throughout the day? Or do you have a natural cortisol rhythm where it's higher in the morning and drops throughout the day so you can go to bed at night? Some people, it actually elevates at night, whether you're stressed or your rhythm is just off. And so we can help like flip that or get you back to a normal cortisol rhythm so you feel energized in the day and tired at night like you should.
That's cool. That'd be something good for you to do since you work evening shift.
I work evening shift, so it kind of throws my rhythms off. And then like on nights when I can go to bed, like I could have gone to bed early last night, but I just laid there like struggling to sleep, and and so finding that rhythm and seeing if I have adrenal fatigue and all that, it would be super helpful.
Yeah.
Do you have any customers that do shift work or maybe are first responders and their sleep patterns are so off? Like,
I haven't exactly. I just have some night owls.
Yes.
But I've learned a lot about that too, and just kind of flipping that life or that rhythm in your day so that it can work with you rather than you fighting it every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a lot of my coworkers, because I'm a flight nurse, so I work 24-hour shifts, And thankfully, our base isn't as busy as some fire departments in the area, but I know people that have worked for decades in EMS, and that's their life, and it's great. It's such a good service to everybody in the community, but then you wonder how much that affects like their own health.
Oh yeah.
Of not getting consistent sleep, not getting that good deep REM sleep at night, and everything. So. Yeah. It's definitely a struggle in EMS and everything, and in healthcare if you're a nurse or even a pharmacist working at the hospital and have to work the night shift, then that definitely can mess with your sleep cycle and everything.
And just stress and overwork in general will really cause that acute stress and then chronic stress and that fatigue over time, so that you can't get those cortisol levels raised throughout the day or when you're working, because your body's just not producing that anymore because it's trying to protect itself. So getting that back functioning can really help, reduce inflammation, get you actually sleeping and feeling better, like you have energy again.
Yeah, and that's what I think we see with a lot of our own customers at Lone Star Naturals that take CBD, and it helps them sleep better at night, and then they feel refreshed the next day, and they have energy, and I feel like it probably indirectly helps with their cortisol levels and everything too. Yeah. So do you see any of that? Do you ever have any customers that take CBD or anything?
I do, yeah, and it can definitely be really helpful. Like you said, like reducing inflammation, helping with sleep, can help with mood, all of those different components. I'm definitely an advocate for those lifestyle and diet, and if we need a supplement on top of that, we can definitely do that, especially for that acute setting or if something comes up, but trying to emphasize that lifestyle approach too.
Yeah, and what do you see that prevents people from making those lifestyle changes? Is it family or just environment or just personal decision? Do you see a lot of that?
I feel like it's that rolling schedule of this came up, and then this came up, and then this came up.
Life happens.
Yeah. And they're like, I'm going to do it when it's a good time. Yeah. And it just never seems to get there because life happens. Yeah. You never get to slow down a lot of the time. So it's just, you need to pick a time and stick with it and know that you're going to feel better in the end, but you need to stay consistent with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that you can do all of those things too.
Yeah. Yeah, that seems like it happens, and especially if you have kids and a family, and like we have 2 teenagers that are, both in sports, and they eat a lot, and they have to eat a lot of carbs, and we try to eat healthy for the most part, and especially at dinner.
It's like
she eats healthy.
I try to cook a healthy dinner every night that I'm home, but they're teenagers, and we're not super strict, so of course they want snacks and everything. So I think that can be kind of hard, as a parent, and especially a mom, when your kids can eat junk food, and then you get distracted with all that, and then just being busy as a parent too.
Yeah.
And taking this kid to this event, and then they have a game, and then they it's busy. It's not easy.
Yes.
And it's back to school time, so like all the school snacks are back in the house, so I'm just eating those snacks all day, going in there at 1 a.m. and like, what do they got in here?
What do they got in here?
Yeah,
got to resist the urge.
Yeah. What do they say? Like the average person eats really 60 times a day or something like that because of all the one-biters. You take a bite of that, you take a drink of that, all of those things will add up, as you know, too. So kind of keeping yourself accountable and knowing that this is an eating time or this is, resting time, whatever.
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot of empty calories for sure. And all of those processed foods and packaged foods and everything, it's just not good.
And it doesn't help your cells in your body feel full because, like you said, they're empty calories. So your body still may feel hungry after eating that because it didn't get the nutrition it was looking for.
Yeah. We talked about that with Jake Mays. He's a nutrition coach. and talking about eating the same amount of calories in Oreos and the same amount of calories in chicken. Well, obviously the chicken's going to make you feel more full and everything because it has all the protein, maybe a little bit of fat, but it's definitely going to fill you up more than you could eat that many calories in Oreos and you're not going to feel as full.
Or as good.
Yeah, or as good later on. But.
Can I ask a question more about the community pharmacy side?
Yeah.
Compounding, is that just like a cost-saving thing, or what all goes into the compounding part of it?
Yeah, so compounding can be really popular because we can really personalize that either strength or dosage form to the person or the patient that may not come manufactured. So we have a lot of different compounds that are preservative-free, so basically just the drug and the base, or whatever that looks like, dye-free, or specific doses. Like I know we do a lot of hormones, so we have like your estrogens, your testosterone, your progesterone, and we can make those bioidentical too. And then we have like the thyroid, all of that as well. And then we also make a lot of pet medications.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's good. I know whenever, like there's shortages of drugs and everything, that probably makes it easier for you and your customers to get those prescriptions filled and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
my dad had gout and he was taking colchicine, and then I guess they awarded a new patent or something to it, and it went from being like a generic drug to something that he was having to pay $150. So he started going to a compounder to just compound it, because that drug's been around for hundreds of years, and it's like, why is it all of a sudden so expensive?
Yeah.
Do y'all run into that too, where you can save people money a lot, or?
Yes, we do. The most recent one would probably be the ivermectin. With either treatment or preventing COVID is how it's using. So like the manufactured version, we actually can't bill it through drug insurance because it's not FDA approved for that. So it may be covered per se, but then they come back to the pharmacy and take all the money back.
Oh, wow.
So to prevent that on our hands, we can bill it, without insurance, or we can compound the powder into capsules. And instead of taking 8 3-milligram pills, you can take just one capsule with that powder in it. So that can be helpful, and it saves so much money too.
Yeah, that's cool. I also saw that you're an Ideal Protein coach. Tell us about that.
So that was that weight loss program that I entered with my residency.
Okay.
And we have many patients with that. So what that looks like is mainly diet education. So we have partial meal plans, replacement items, and then you meet with me weekly as well. So my patients come in once a week, especially during that weight loss phase. And there are 3 different phases. So most people come for that weight loss or that metabolic reset, and then we stabilize that weight once they get to their goal. So we're taking away like Ideal Protein items and having more of those whole foods.
Oh, cool.
And really focusing on that like low and slow with like bringing back complex carbohydrates, healthy fats, and really focusing on getting that adequate protein. And then once they're really stabilized, then we can go into maintenance. They no longer need to have any Ideal Protein products. A lot of patients still do because they're really convenient, which I get, but we're really trying to emphasize that whole food option and leading them towards that. And reading nutrition fact labels, being aware of what is in your food, trying to get most of your food that really good, healthy, whole foods. And then, you can go 10, 20%, those treats or whatever.
Yeah, that's cool. That I like that you maybe start them on the protein supplement, but then you move towards, okay, this is a lifestyle change. This is a diet change, changing, to kind of fit their needs and everything.
Yeah, and what I really like about it too is a lot of my patients are really, really busy people, whether that is a stay-at-home mom, whether that is a fast career. And they're not used to preparing 3 to 4 meals from scratch that they bought from the organic grocery store or whatever. So if I can help them with like 3 of those meals are these partial meal replacements, and then you make 1 meal by yourself, and then you're making your vegetables.
Yeah.
And get them started with that. They can kind of get the hang of, okay, I need to make this 1 meal. I can make my vegetables. I can get this in. I can drink my water. And then once we get that weight off, or that inflammation off, or that body fat off, whatever their goals are, then we can transition to, okay, now you're going to make 2 meals at home.
Yeah.
Or ordering at a restaurant and knowing what to order.
Right.
And really focusing more and more on those whole foods.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. That's good. Yeah, meal prepping can be tedious and time consuming.
Yeah.
I know. I kind of do that with family dinners, and then when I'm on shift, I either cook at the base or try to prepare stuff. And it takes time. It definitely does.
And the education may be lacking a lot of the time too, especially with like portion sizes. When we get into bringing back those complex carbohydrates or anything like that, and we talk about portion sizes, and they're like, wait, that's how much I should be eating? I would have, spoonfuls or, like 4 of those fruits a day, and then potatoes, and then rice or whatever. And I'm like, those are all really healthy foods, but we need to talk about the portion and get that protein in and kind of have that be your first priority, and then having smaller portions of those complex carbs on the side.
Yeah, because protein is very filling. It's a very filling substance, and if you eat that first, then, hopefully you're not as hungry for the other, carbs and everything, which are good, but I feel like as Americans, we eat a lot more carbohydrates than we probably need to.
Yes.
But French fries are so good, so. It's hard. So what could one thing, like one tip or trick that you'd give our listeners, something they could do maybe on a daily basis to kind of slowly improve their health and wellness and everything? What would you tell them?
So the first thing I always have on my sheet is sleep.
Yes.
Get adequate sleep, 7 to 9 hours. Get your sleep in. I remember when I was on rotations, or last year of pharmacy school, and one of the rotations I was actually getting there at like 8:30 or so a little bit later than my rotation before that. So I'm like, I'm actually going to get to bed early, make a point of it, and get that like 8-ish hours of sleep. After like a week or two, I'm like, I feel significantly better.
Yeah.
Like I have energy for the day. I don't feel like I need as much coffee. I feel like I can think clearer. And that's just going to lead to better decisions throughout my day too, whether that be food choices, whether that be making sure I get exercise. So if you can start with getting sleep and getting to bed at a reasonable hour, then you're going to feel better to make those decisions.
Yeah, that's good. I definitely see that when we're up all night transporting patients. The next day, I'm just craving everything sweet.
Yeah.
And it's not good, you know, but I know, okay, I just need to go sleep, take a nap, catch back up on sleep and everything. It definitely affects you.
And sleep is free.
Yes.
Like, do that for free.
Yeah.
And then come talk to me if that's not working.
So where do we find out more about the community pharmacy and y'all's wellness consultation program and all of that?
So communitypharmacy.com, that's pretty easy to remember. And then we have a lot of different services, that kind of things. Under services, you'll see consultations, and that's where you'll see the link to schedule that free discovery call. I'm also somewhat on social media trying to get better.
Yeah.
So it's Dr. Kelly PharmD. So Kelly PharmD. So I'm trying to get a little bit more on that to help educate, because I think that's really where the lack is too, because maybe patients will go to their doctor, and a lot of the times I hear, the doctor told me I have 2 options, get a hysterectomy or get an IUD, or maybe pellets for hormone therapy. And so I'm just here to let them know that those aren't your only options. Whether you choose to do that, that's completely on you, but I want you to know what your options are so that you don't feel like you have to go that route if you're not comfortable with that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. That's good. Well, thank you, Kelly, for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
This has been a really great episode, and we'll see y'all next time.